Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who indeed rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways, pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom. This is the brother Iron from the Jamaica camp. Come with another quick lesson. Hopefully, this is edifying to the body of the hopeful elect. And this topic is gonna be on adultery, right? And how the law of adultery is so perfect. It's completely it's a perfect law, right? And you know I wouldn't even say this is much of an inspiration, but if you look up the true meaning of the word inspiration, you can say in some sense it is. What moved me to do this lesson is this series that's on Netflix that quite frankly I don't watch, but it's a utterly disgusting series, especially for for men in the truth. I'm pretty sure if you brothers try to watch one episode of that shit, your mind might be blown. Now recently, I was around someone, who was actually watching it, because to be honest, from I saw the trailer I was like, no, not interested, right? So I was around someone that was watching it, heard a few episodes, you know like saw like probably about half an hour worth of it at one point, because it was just ongoing, but you know that nearly lost my mind. you know and then recently, I was talking to a few people who they were discussing the series, and they watched it out to the end. They were giving their input. I was asking a few questions, and you know they too were disgusted with the main character. But for those who don't know, it's about a woman who married woman, quote on as what Esau calls married, has her husband. I think she's supposed to have two kids. I'm not clear on the full details, Akim, to be honest, right? But I think she has kids with this dude that she married. And somewhere along the line, he must have bought a laptop or whatever the case may be, and she started to fantasize about her ex, and started to have memories of her ex-boyfriend, right? Most of which was actually sexual, right? Now, what happened was that her husband ended up reading that thing, and it got him to be jealous. Then it started to a point where he was stalking the ex-boyfriend, till somehow the plot got around with conflict between him, her, him and the ex-boyfriend, and the whole. Based on all of that, you can tell that it's just a bunch of madness. But I guess to what I heard, throughout the whole series, or the whole season, she was back and forth, trying to decide whether or not she wants to get with this dude. So she is kind of caught between two places. Her mind in the past, but she wanted to hold on with what is currently there. And then, not only that, the man was actually the actual husband was trying to change himself, and trying to do things that the ex would do, and all in hopes of trying to hold keep her satisfied, or a lot of BS. And then in the end of the season, I heard that she ended up having sex with the ex, right? And it was just a whole lot of confusion, where if the law of adultery was actually in play, you know all that BS would have come to an end. As a matter of fact, if the even the law of marriage, according to the scripture, was in play, then all this confusion wouldn't actually happen, right? So let me just read the scriptures, and then get let's hopefully this is edifying. This is Matthew 5, and I'll start at verse 31. It says, "It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, save the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery." Right? So Yahushua is, is basically, disputing, or highlighting, you know, speaking about the law or the bill of divorcement, right? Verse 33 says, "Again ye have heard that it had been said by them of old time, thou shalt force," or Salakia. I think I read the wrong precept. Salakia. No, I think what I'm looking for is in verse 19. Salakia. Um, right. Verse 4. Salakia. Matthew 14, verse 19, verse 4 says, "And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh." Exactly. So with marriage, once the man has bought his possession or have acquired his wife lawfully, according to the laws of marriage, then that should be his wife, right? And it's his wife until either he dies or until she dies, right? Verse 6 says, "Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God had joined together, let no man put asunder." Right? So there's no separating, right? It says, it goes on to say, "They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery, and whoso marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery." Right? And that's the thing, right? Because guess here's there are a lot of scientific studies out there that that proves that even women with multiple baby fathers, they have their DNA is still within their system, up until the point that the man dies. You have from a psychological or even a spiritual or mental standpoint, you know the fact that that person is still alive, you know the temptation of having back some form of quote unquote good experience that you had with them before, you know that is also something that can be considered. So to get it out of the way, and all done, to avoid all of this, if a man commit adultery, once it's a case where a woman is has found been having sex with more than one man, then put her to death and put the man to death that he was having sex with. For one, he took his neighbor's wife, and secondly, he had defiled her, and it would actually cause this chain reaction within the society of a lot of lewdness and abomination. And even back then with the law of divorce, if it was a case that she went to another man, you know after the man died, or if that man divorced her, she could not go back to the previous husband, because that would then be defiled again, and abomination once more. So having multiple sex partners, for a woman, was never accepted in Hebrew society, right? It was not something that was accepted, because it's something that can cause a lot of confusion, you know While if it was a case that she was a widow and then she remarried, and she's there thinking about things that her deceased husband you know had those fun times, so to speak. There's no way for her to be tempted to go back to him, because he's no longer there. He's no longer there to go back to, and therefore there won't be any conflict or any issues between her current husband and her previous husband. And also, she won't be in a confused state of wondering, if she should go back, or wanting to ping pong and split between two, trying to serve two masters, right? All of that would have been avoided, right? And believe me when I say that series is utterly disgusting, to the spirit. It's utterly disgusting. And this is a thing that these women like to watch. This is a thing that the world find amusing and interesting. And funny enough, even though that's just a series, things like that are happening within the real world, maybe to that extent, or worse. Or even in some cases it ends prematurely, because it ends up turning deadly, as the scripture states. Jealousy is the rage of a man, right? So all of this can definitely be avoided, and that is why the law is so perfect. you know and as it pertains to the point of the bill of divorcement, because maybe one will say, then the law of adultery requires them both to be put to death. Then what about the law of adultery? you know Sorry, not the law of adultery, the law of divorcement. What about the law of divorcement? Well, the law of divorcement was actually put in place as it pertains to situations going like real bad. It might be a case where the woman would be living with the man, and may not have done something that's worthy unto death, but it was driving out the walls nonetheless. For example, the scriptures tell us about contentious women. The scriptures tell us about um you know clamorous women, loud women, talkative women, you know and then back then it was a society like now. It may have been a case where, what if, well, this is just me speaking as a man, haven't gotten any um reference at this point, but based on what I deem to be common knowledge. It may be a case where she would have even flirted with another man. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they actually committed adultery physically, right? So there would be no grounds to put them to death. Or it may be a case where something would have happened where the man was displeased. Or maybe she had, what if it was a case that she was trying to spite him, maybe have spat in his food, or did these women nowadays, some of them do it for witchcraft, others do it out of straight up spite. you know you know did some form of lewdness to the food, or just did something that was way out of the order. Yeah, we know how these women can get, especially when they're all emotional, if they don't get their way, or whenever that silly spirit get on them, even though they know that they can't actually contend against a man. They will do things knowing that it can possibly get them hurt, and still do it. you know even though it will upset a man. And some of those things, like for me personally, if I'm with a woman and I found out that she spat in my food, I cannot deal with that woman afterwards. Or if I found out that I caught her almost doing something to my food, or maybe did something to my clothes, or may have done something to me that's not really worthy of, well, not worthy of that. Then there are things that you look at it and you'll be like, she will no longer be favorable in my eyes, as that law put it, right? Or it may be a case where she that would also be considered as she some uncleanness found in her. may have been that something that she have done that just left was indecent, or left a bad taste in my mouth, so to speak. you know so maybe things like that. We're all human. The things that were that, as the scripture says in Ecclesiastes, the thing that had been is that we shall be. Some of these scenarios, that we're seeing in today's society was there back then. I'm pretty sure that toxic women, were there back then. That is why Solomon could actually write about contentious woman, and things of, and those, the quiet man. In the book of Sirach, it tells you about the quiet man, and she that talk too much. It's like him climbing at the old, climbing a sandy hill, roughly paraphrasing. You had things like that, but no doubt what the wicked scribes and Pharisees of that time did was they actually exploited the law, right? I was reading something earlier where I haven't been able to proofread it, but it's along the lines of saying that you had certain sects that would, sex as in SECT, sext, that would actually bend the law to an extent where, as it says, she did some uncleanness, or no longer find favor in her husband's eyes. They would actually divorce their women for simple things like not seasoning food properly, or may have may have dressed a particular way, or did not polish the floor properly, or just some petty things, just so that they can get a new wife, or just so that they could stop dealing with that woman, because they were pretty much tired of that woman. When really that wasn't the law, what the law was about. It also was from the standpoint of the bill of divorcement. It was a request that they had to hand into the to a tribunal, and they would actually see the cause, and they would actually determine whether or not they will approve the divorce. And also it was a case where it had to be, it had to be a well put together claim. That's why it says write her a bill of divorcement, right? And it was something that it helped to prevent divorces as well, because the process wasn't just high cut and dry. And the fact that after he has written a bill of divorcement, one of the main reasons why if she go ahead and she marries another man, you know one of the reasons why that is in place, apart from ensuring that no abomination takes place, is the fact that the husband would actually think twice before writing that bill of divorcement, because for one, he would lose money. And not only will he lose money, in the event that his heart, or he may think that his heart might change towards his woman, and it will be a case where knowing that there's a chance she will no longer be his, it would actually be something that you need to take into serious account, right? It wasn't anything to just be up and about. But once again, over time, we know that the tribunals, the judges, the heads of Israel, got corrupted. And even though it was sent through the tribunal or whatever, depending on who it is, who can tell? Maybe some money was, certain of them were, it says that they take bribes, and they're extortioners, right? To sway certain judgment, and a lot of things, would have happened within these divorcement, these divorcement bill of divorcement cases. And not only that, it wasn't something that was supposed to be common practice also. With most of these laws, or some of these laws, they were in the event of, right? So that is, it was never allowed us to say, hey, you have an issue with your wife, put her away. It was, in regards to extreme cases, right? So let me just when a woman got divorced, she could also go, either she can go back to her father's house, or if it was a case that she married again, then she'd actually stay with that husband. But that was in the Old Testament. And let me go ahead and read what Yahushai said once more, right? Verse 8 says, and he said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committed adultery, and whoso married her, which is put away, that commit adultery, right? And also, as it says here, fornication, right? Anything that is lewd within Hebrew culture, it's definitely them being put to death, right? The woman being put to death. So, for example, if it was a case that she wanted to do some form of lesbianism, right? Then that's grounds for death. Paul let us know that in Romans 1. If it's a case where it was bestiality, they put to death. If it was a case of laying with another man, then also being put to death, right? So the word fornication here, would definitely, if it's adultery or one of those immoral sex acts, then automatically will be for death. So that would not be the only reason, if it, as it pertains to the Salakia, as it pertains to the Old Testament, and the law of divorcement, then that wouldn't apply. But now you can see in what Yahushua is saying outside of fornication, where if you look up the word fornication here, it's the word pornea, slakia, fornication. Why can't I see it? Except before fornication, right? Right? Illicit sexual intercourse, right? Adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, right? Sexual intercourse with close relatives. Those are things that were worthy unto death, right? You have the spiritual fornication, which is idolatry, which is also related unto death. So unless it was something unto death, then we couldn't put them away, right? And putting them away would actually be putting them to death, right? But in regards to what it was in the Old Testament, seeing that those laws were would have established these things that you're seeing right here for the word fornication, as it pertains to uncleanness or indecency. And if it's a case that the wife did not find favor in her husband's eyes, it could be a barrage of things that could definitely go to the extreme, but those wouldn't have been things that were worthy of death, right? Those wouldn't have been things that were worthy of death, right? But even in that case, based on what Yahushua is saying here, not even then, it should be they should be put away, because as he stated in the beginning, we were made one flesh, and what the Most High put together, let no man put asunder, right? Meaning that separate, right? This is Romans chapter, and also it says that he that put it away his wife, causeth her to commit adultery. And the reason why it says causeth her to commit adultery, because nowhere in Hebrew culture a woman can just get up and leave, right? So he putting her away, he actually forced her, right, to commit adultery by going to another man, and then in turn actually caused another man to commit adultery, right? Which indeed actually caused an abomination, because he would have already had sex with her, and then she having sex with another man would have been caused defilement. But the thing about it is that all of that was caused by him, whosoever it is that put away his wife, because she has no say in the matter, right? So this is Romans chapter 7, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. For the woman which hath an husband is bounded by the law of her husband, so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband liveth she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. Exactly. You know? And even in the sense of betrothal, you had the in Exodus, it told you, you had the example of, a handmaid, going on to, either the man, the head of the house, the master of the house, would actually take her, to be his wife. Or it could be a case, as a matter of fact, let me just get that law real quickly. I think it's Exodus 21, if I'm remembering correctly. Hey, that is why it's good to know the law, and have an idea of how things went back then. Right, verse Exodus 7, and this is in regards to a Hebrew servant that's a female. Exodus 21 verse 7, it says, and if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, and she shall not go out as the men servants do. Right, because the men servants, after 7 years, they are free to go. Right, if she please not her master, who had betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed, meaning that who whatever debt she was sold for, or whatever the case is, someone can actually redeem her. Right, to sell her, let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceitfully with her. Right, and he cannot sell that Israelite woman or daughter of Israel unto a strange nation. Right, verse 9 says, if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. Right, and then it goes down to say, if he take him under the wife. So if it's a case where he can betroth her to his son, if it's a case that he keeps her and he wants to take another wife, her food, her raiment, and duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And if he do not these three things unto her, then shall she go out free without money. Right, so we have it right there, where it's a case where even right here, maid servants can be betrothed. Right, but it's not a case where you can just do as you please, as it says, right, food, raiment, you actually have to treat her like a wife. And even with the priesthood, it's a case where if a priest, as a matter of fact, let me get that, I was looking on these laws earlier, Leviticus 19. Right, this is Leviticus 19 verse 20, and that with Leviticus, a lot of these sayings also have are pertain of laws that are specific. Some of these laws are specific towards the priest. Right, it says, and whosoever lied carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor given her freedom, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. Right, so even in this case, there's still a level of punishment. Now, what if it was a case where this woman was betrothed unto a husband? Right, and what if it was a case that he had already paid whatever the dowry was? Right, or what if they whatever the case may be, then what would happen? Right, it says, and he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the law for his sins which he had done, and the sin which he had done shall be forgiven him. Right, So there's an example. It also tells you that, if a priest's daughter, should be divorced or widowed, you know, she can't eat of the holy things, unless she's a part of her unless she goes back to her father's house, right? So in regards to divorcement, there are whole, a lot of ball games and are not ball games, but in regards to, there are a lot of rules and things, and a lot of factors to take into consideration, a whole lot of things to take into consideration, right? But nonetheless, it all goes back to what Yahushua said, except it's just as even as the law says, it's until death, as Esau says, until death do them part, or do us part, right? And it's whether it's a case of one of us naturally dying, or one of us, God forbid, or one of them rather, committing adultery, or some form of lewdness that's worthy of death, and somebody gets put to death, right? And once again, for back then, Yahushua cleared up, but for back then, it wasn't just a case where, they just got up and got rid of their wives. It was for, extreme circumstances of whatever sort it may have been. All right. So with that, hope this was edifying. Want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word now, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.